So many people have asked me to make a video about um book a book recommendation video, and here it is. Um, I really have no idea how you even start one of these videos, but I have here a couple of books that I have read, and unfortunately, some of the books that I have either listened to because I am lazy and because I don't particularly like reading. I prefer listening to books, audiobooks. Um, yeah, reading is kind of boring to me. I always found it a bit boring, even when I was a kid. And ironically enough, I used to read a lot more books when I was a kid than I do now. Um, but either ways, it is. Um, by the way, bear in mind that I am a weirdo when it comes to books and um about the stuff that I like. And if you have watched this channel for a couple of weeks now, you probably know that my ideas on stuff are a bit out of common, I would guess. So either way, I have here. By the way, it's in Portuguese. Yes, it's Fire and Fury by Michael Wolff, and I read it a long time ago when it first came out, like 3, 4 years ago. And I think it's actually a pretty funny book because it shows you a lot of about what they didn't even know that was going to happen, because it gives you really the perspective that they weren't, yes, expecting to win, which is actually pretty funny. And it tells you personal stories inside that White House, and it tells you about interviews that this writer has had with members of the staff, and what they thought about Trump and what they thought about the win, and how they thought it was unlikely up to the point where they won, um, where they were actually close of winning the White House. That's where they started taking it seriously, because up to that point it was kind of a joke to them. This is, of course, what the book claims. It has the validity that it has. So don't start a war in the comments about it. Um, this is a book about. It's called the Book of Science because I'm into it, and it's actually a book that I'm not sure that you can find out there. I probably should have thought about that before. I will leave the link below if I can find this book. I will leave the link of all books that I present here. But there's actually like a collection of them. There is the Book of Philosophy that I also own, and that is also really interesting, by the way. I will leave the name of the authors and the name of the book so that you can go look for yourself. Obviously, the Book of Science has a lot of theories about science. It's kind of self-explanatory. From microevolution to quantum physics, it has a lot of things that if you are interested in, from biology to physics, you are welcome to obviously check the book for yourself. If you are interested in science, if you are interested in theories, in science and everything. Now the next one is a bit weird because it's probably one of the most recent books that I own. And I bought it recently, and in summer I was really into chess. Like really into chess, to a point where it kind of my summer was kind of about chess. I would watch like 5 hours of chess tournaments a day, and with teachers. I'm now not remembering the names. Um, Akobian, teacher Akobian, a grandmaster. And it was kind of I was in a chess phase, and now I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm not as much in a chess phase as I was before. So I bought Bobby Fischer's chess book. and I did read it, not completely because I kind of gave up on chess, because I realized that even though that I was obviously getting better, it was probably one of those things that I have peak of interests, and then they slowly die. Like, I peak, and then they just die, and I lose interest in the topic or in the subject, and I become really obsessed about that topic for a couple of weeks or months, and then it dies. The next one is if you are into sci-fi, cosmic or you obviously probably already know the Necronomicon by H.P. Lovecraft. And it's, by the way, it's the entire Necronomicon with like 800 pages. Yeah, 864 pages. I didn't read all of them, by the way. I just went to the parts that I already knew, like the Call of Cthulhu and stuff like that. So if you like cosmic horror, you have H.P. Lovecraft to look into, and probably the book that I like the most, and I've already read like 3 times. God is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens, which is fantastic, and it's in English, like most of these books actually are for some reason. And because I'm kind of a religious freak, not a religious freak because I'm not religious, but I am a freak about religion, and it's one of my main topics of interest for a lot of years by now, for many years by now. So it's probably not one of those interests that will die like the others. So God is Not Great is probably a great book for you to buy or to. By the way, there's the audiobook on YouTube, narrated by Hitchens himself, if you are interested in. I could give you more, but unfortunately I don't have him here. Like the book that I read more recently, that I finished, was Crime and Punishment by Dostoiévski. And it was really, really good. It was a really cool book. And I only read Crime and Punishment because Jordan Peterson had this weird idea that a nihilist would be like Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment, and I thought that was so absurd.
This is for you, Dr. Peterson. You alluded to an important distinction between someone who would actually be an atheist and someone who merely professes to be an atheist. You implied that Matt and others are not genuinely atheists. I'm curious why you think that. Is it just because we have sacred values, that everyone has sacred values? What, in your view, would a genuine atheist be like?
He'd be like Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment. And I can't really come up with a better answer than that, because it's such a complicated question that that's the right answer. You know, I love that book. It's an amazing book, and it's a great thriller, by the way.
The definition of atheism is not complicated at all. Peterson just needs it to be complicated because he has a different idea of God than the God of Christianity. Although Peterson is actually not convinced that Jesus was the person that the Bible does claim that he was. So Peterson is not a religious person, or at least he's not a Christian in the literal sense of the word.
Do you believe that Jesus rose again from the dead? Literally. A historical human being that existed
In a body. And
in a body.
In a body. And,
yes.
And it was a physical body, and that it was on Earth.
Yes. That it was on Earth, and that was literally came back to life after death.
I would say that at the moment I'm agnostic about that issue.
By the way, an atheist is simply someone that is not convinced of God. I have no idea why he has these strange ideas about people sometimes. What a nihilist is, what an atheist is, that you are not an atheist because you act out your beliefs, like that makes any fucking sense. And I've read, by the way, some of his works, and I have heard his debates and his arguments, and I've heard his counter arguments, and I've, by the way, if you are interested into by Sam Harris, the moral landscape, it's actually really good. And watch the arguments or the debates with Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson about morality and about Christianity, and I think that's it.